She crouched behind the jagged rocks of the canyon, her pulse racing as she tried to steady her breathing. The human soldier had appeared suddenly, a shadow against the harsh light of their dying sun. Her instincts screamed danger. Every alien in her tribe had warned her about humans. They were ruthless, unpredictable, and driven by a strange hunger for conquest. And here he was, standing alone, unarmed, yet emanating a force she could feel in her bones. Lyra's hands gripped the edge of the rock, her claws digging into the stone. Her heart pounded so hard she thought he could hear it. She had been tracking a small convoy of resource scouts when the human had appeared, apparently out of nowhere. She had expected a fleet, a group of soldiers ready to annihilate her world for the minerals beneath their feet. But it was just him, tall, armored in a suit that glinted in the light and carrying something she could not yet identify. She had no time to think. He was already moving toward her cautiously with slow, deliberate steps. His posture was calm, almost peaceful, yet every fiber of her being screamed that she should strike, run, vanish. Her mind raced with questions. Why wasn't he attacking? Why was he alone? And most importantly, what did he want with her? Lyra's species had been at war with humans for decades. They knew their weapons, their strategies, their cunning. Yet humans had something different, a resilience and unpredictability that often made them terrifying opponents. She had fought many humans before, and none had shown mercy. None had ever approached her without the intent to destroy. The soldier stopped a few meters away. His visor reflected her image, distorted but clear enough for her to see that he was studying her, not with aggression but with a strange form of calculation. Then slowly he dropped his weapon to the ground and raised his hands in a universal gesture of surrender. Lyra's muscles tensed. She could not lower her guard, not yet. But something in his stance, something about the way he moved, made her hesitate. He was not like the others. His eyes, green sharp but not cruel, met hers through the visor. There was curiosity there, caution, and, she realized with a shiver, a kind of intelligence that had nothing to do with war. "Don't come any closer," she hissed, her voice trembling slightly. Her species had never used words in such a direct manner with humans. They believed it gave humans an advantage. But desperation made her speak. The human tilted his head, a small, almost imperceptible gesture. Then he spoke in broken but clear common tongue, the language humans forced on every allied species. I'm not here to hurt you. Please trust me, trust." The word hit her like a blade. Trust was dangerous. Trust was weakness. Trust could get you killed. Yet the tone in his voice, steady and honest, stirred something in her. A flicker of hope, a sliver of curiosity. Lyra considered her options. She could attack, run, or wait. Her instincts screamed to attack, but her logic argued for caution. She had survived longer than most because she could read situations, because she could predict danger, and right now this human was an unknown. That made him dangerous in ways she could not yet comprehend. "Why shouldn't I kill you?" she asked, her claws still flexed and ready. "Because I am not your enemy," he replied. "I am here to help." The words were simple yet heavy. She wanted to disbelieve them. Humans did not help aliens. Humans took, destroyed, conquered. And yet something in his demeanor, the steady calm, the absence of the usual threatening aura, made her pause. Lyra's memories of past encounters with humans flashed before her eyes. Ambushes, negotiations gone wrong, sudden betrayals. Every time humans had come with weapons drawn with orders to kill or capture, and every time she had survived through cunning and speed. But never had a human approached her like this, alone, unarmed, offering no threat. Her mind raced, calculating risk, weighing possibilities. Finally, she made a decision. She would not attack, not yet. But she would not lower her guard either. "Then prove it," she said, her voice hard. "Show me you mean no harm." The human soldier nodded, then slowly knelt on one knee, keeping his hands visible. From his pack, he retrieved a small device, a holographic projector. He activated it, and a 3D map of the canyon and surrounding terrain appeared, flickering in the dusty air. Lyra's eyes widened. Humans rarely revealed strategic information so openly, yet here he was, showing her the surrounding area, pointing out hidden dangers, rock slides, unstable paths, and, surprisingly, a hidden ambush set by other humans farther along her path. "You see this?" he asked. "They will strike soon. You will not survive alone, but together." He paused, gesturing between them. "We can get through." Her claws twitched, but she did not attack. She had been tracking human patrols for weeks, and yet she had never anticipated this level of foresight. The soldier was not just intelligent, he was calculating, aware, and cautious. And for some reason, he had chosen not to strike her immediately, had chosen instead to offer her a lifeline. Lyra studied him carefully. Every movement he made, every word he spoke seemed measured, deliberate. She realized she was witnessing something unusual, a human who was not motivated by conquest, by fear, or by orders. A human motivated by something else. Compassion, strategy, or something deeper, something she could not yet name. "We do not trust humans," she said finally, her voice a low growl. "You will not be the first to change that." He nodded again, not offended, not dismissive. "I understand, but I promise you will see. I want to help." The moment stretched. The canyon seemed to hold its breath. Lyra could hear the faint hum of distant engines, the approach of other humans closing in. The danger was real, immediate, and yet, despite the fear, despite the memories of betrayal, she felt something shift, a recognition that this human was different. She made her decision. Slowly, cautiously, she stepped out from behind the rock, her claws still flexed, ready to strike at the slightest threat. The human did not flinch. He stayed still, giving her space, giving her control. "Lead the way," she said finally, her voice firm. "But one false move, and I will not hesitate." The human soldier's green eyes met hers, and he nodded. Understood. As they moved through the canyon, Lyra could not shake the tension. She had survived countless battles, countless ambushes. She had seen friends fall, enemies rise, and worlds crumble. And yet, walking beside this human, she felt something strange, something she had not felt in years. A fragile, cautious hope. They moved in silence for several minutes, each alert to the faintest sound, the slightest movement. Lyra's instincts told her danger was near, but the soldier's presence somehow eased her tension, gave her a sense of stability she could not explain. Finally, they reached a narrow passage flanked by jagged cliffs. From her vantage point, Lyra could see the human ambush ahead. Dozens of soldiers, heavily armed, preparing to descend on anyone who passed. She had counted at least 30. Alone, she would never survive. The human soldier knelt behind a boulder, gesturing for her to follow. He pointed out paths, timing, and angles of attack. His strategy was flawless. Dangerous, yes, but possible. And it relied on cooperation, on trust. Lyra hesitated. Trust was dangerous. And yet she knew she had no other choice. She nodded, silently agreeing to follow his plan, silently agreeing, perhaps for the first time, to believe that not all humans were the same. The attack came suddenly. Rocks tumbled, engines roared, and chaos erupted. Lyra moved as one with the soldier, following his instructions, dodging, weaving, and striking when necessary. She had never fought like this before, cooperating, trusting, moving as a single unit with a human. By the time the dust settled, the ambush had been neutralized. Many humans were down, and the canyon was eerily quiet. Lyra stood panting, her claws scratched but unbroken. The soldier approached her, his armor battered, his stance cautious but steady. "You survived," he said simply. Lyra's eyes met his. For the first time, she did not see a threat. She saw a comrade, a partner, someone who had risked everything to ensure her survival. And though she would never admit it aloud, she felt gratitude, something alien to her species, something she had buried long ago. "Thanks," she said finally, her voice low but sincere. The soldier nodded, a small smile visible through the visor. "We're not done yet. There's more ahead. But together we can face it." Lyra allowed herself a small nod. Together. The word echoed in her mind, strange but powerful. She had survived countless battles alone. And yet, walking beside this human, she realized something profound. Sometimes the greatest strength was in trusting, in letting someone else stand with you. And for the first time in her life, Lyra felt something she had never thought possible, a cautious, fragile hope for the future. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the jagged canyon, when Lyra and the human soldier paused to catch their breath. The ambush had left the area eerily quiet, the only sounds coming from the distant hum of engines and the whisper of wind through the rocks. Lyra kept her claws ready, her senses sharp. but she no longer felt the same constant dread she had when she first saw him. There was something about his presence, steady, patient, and strangely calm, that made her feel less alone, less hunted. The soldier knelt, adjusting a small device on his armor. Lyra studied him cautiously. "What now?" she asked, her voice still low, cautious. "Now we move," he replied. "The ambush wasn't random. There's a larger force waiting. They're trying to trap anyone who leaves this canyon. We need to reach higher ground before nightfall. From there, we can plan our next move." Lyra's tail flicked with tension. She had survived countless attacks, but she had never fought beside a human who seemed so determined not to harm her. Humans had a reputation for being ruthless, but this one, he was different. He was calm, patient, and smart. He didn't just react, he planned, calculated, and cared about more than just himself. They moved carefully along the narrow paths, keeping to the shadows. Lyra noticed how he observed everything: the position of rocks, the angle of sunlight, the faint tracks of others in the sand. He was skilled, precise, and he communicated silently with her using subtle gestures. She realized she had never seen a human move like this before. Not just surviving, but adapting, thinking ahead, protecting. "Why are you helping me?" she asked suddenly. "Humans don't usually care about aliens like me." The soldier glanced at her, his green eyes visible through the visor. "Not all humans are the same. Some of us, we see the bigger picture. I don't want to fight your people. I want to survive, yes, but I also want to prevent more unnecessary deaths." Lyra studied him, analyzing his expression. She had learned long ago that humans could lie convincingly, but there was no deception here. His eyes were honest, steady. For a moment, she let herself believe him. They reached a high ridge just as the sun dipped below the horizon. From this vantage point, Lyra could see the canyon stretching out below, the ambush site now quiet, and the paths leading to safety clearly visible. She felt a strange mix of relief and tension. Relief that they had survived, tension because she knew the danger wasn't over. The soldier pulled out a small scanner and pointed it toward the lower canyon. A holographic projection appeared, highlighting movement in the shadows. "They're regrouping," he said. "We need to move fast. If we stay here too long, we'll be surrounded." Lyra nodded. Her instincts screamed to move, but she trusted him. For the first time, she realized that sometimes survival wasn't just about strength. It was about strategy, cooperation, and trust. As they descended carefully, a sudden noise made Lyra freeze. A group of human scouts emerged from the shadows, heavily armed. Lyra's claws flexed, ready to strike, but the soldier stepped forward, placing himself between her and the scouts. "Stop!" he shouted, his voice firm. "We are not your enemies." The scouts hesitated, confused by the sight of a lone human soldier with an alien. Their leader stepped forward, a tall, imposing figure in full armor. "This alien is our target," he said. "She is a threat." The soldier raised his hands, keeping his stance calm but commanding. "She is not your enemy," he said. "I am escorting her to safety. Any attack will be considered an act of aggression against me." Lyra watched as the tension grew. She had seen humans fight endlessly over minor provocations, yet this one was standing firm, refusing to escalate. His confidence was contagious. She felt her own fear ease slightly. The leader of the scouts studied him, then finally nodded. "Very well," he said. "But do not waste time. Move quickly." As the scouts retreated, Lyra let out a long breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The soldier turned to her, offering a small, reassuring nod. "See? Sometimes words and confidence matter more than claws and strength." They continued their journey, moving through the canyon with careful precision. Night fell and the temperature dropped sharply. Lyra was used to cold nights, but she noticed how the soldier seemed unaffected, moving steadily, his armor regulating his body temperature. At one point, they came across a narrow bridge spanning a deep ravine. The bridge looked unstable, and Lyra's instincts warned her to find another route. But the soldier examined it carefully, tapping the supports and testing the ropes. "It's safe," he said finally. "But we move slowly. Stay close to me." Lyra followed, her tail twitching nervously. Step by step, they crossed the bridge, the wind howling around them. A single misstep would have sent either of them plummeting into the ravine below. She realized how much she relied on his judgment, how much she trusted him without fully understanding why. Once across, they found a hidden cave, large enough to rest for the night. The soldier set up a small, low-energy light and motion sensors to alert them to danger. Lyra explored the cave cautiously, noting every nook and exit. She was impressed by his foresight. He anticipated every possible threat. They settled down, though sleep was uneasy. Lyra's mind raced with questions. Why was he helping her? Was he part of a larger plan? Could she truly trust a human? And yet, despite her doubts, she felt a strange sense of security. For the first time in her life, she felt that perhaps humans could be more than predators and conquerors. They could be allies, friends, even protectors. The night passed with few disturbances. At dawn, the soldier was already moving, checking the perimeter and planning the next stage of their journey. Lyra followed, silently impressed by his discipline. She realized she was learning from him, not just about survival, but about strategy, patience, and leadership. As they approached the final stretch out of the canyon, they encountered the remnants of another human ambush. This time, there were more soldiers, heavily armed and ready to fight. Lyra tensed, ready to leap into action. The soldier placed a hand on her shoulder, signaling her to stay calm. He raised his voice, addressing the group. "Stand down! We are not here to fight you. This alien is under my protection. Any attack on her is an attack on me." There was a tense silence. Lyra could feel the weight of the soldiers' hesitation, the uncertainty in their eyes. Finally, the leader of the group stepped forward, studying the soldier and then Lyra. "You have my word," he said. "But move quickly. The area will not stay clear for long." They moved swiftly, finally emerging from the canyon into open territory. The sun was rising, casting a warm glow over the landscape. Lyra breathed in the fresh air, feeling the tension drain from her body. For the first time in days, she felt a sense of freedom. The soldier looked at her, his eyes reflecting relief and pride. "We made it," he said simply. Lyra nodded, feeling gratitude she had never experienced before. "Thank you," she said. I did not expect this. I did not expect a human to help me," he smiled faintly. "Not all humans are the same," he said. "And not all enemies remain enemies forever. Sometimes all it takes is a choice to fight or to help. We chose to help." Lyra considered his words, realizing their truth. She had spent years preparing for battle, expecting betrayal at every turn. But this human had shown her something different, something she could not have anticipated. Courage, intelligence, and compassion. Together, they continued their journey towards safety. Lyra knew challenges still lay ahead, but for the first time, she felt she was not facing them alone. She had found an ally in a human, someone she could trust, someone who had shown her that strength came not only from claws or weapons, but from choices, from cooperation, and from the courage to do what was right. And as they walked side by side into the sunrise, Lyra understood something she had never fully grasped before. Sometimes, the greatest victories were not won with force, but with trust. Sometimes the most unexpected allies could change the course of everything. And sometimes humans, so feared, so unpredictable, could be the ones to show a world that hope was possible. Lyra looked at the soldier, her eyes meeting his through the visor. She felt something she had never felt before, a sense of partnership, a bond forged in danger and trust. She did not know what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain: she would not face it alone. The human soldier gave a small nod, acknowledging her silently. Together they moved forward, leaving the canyon behind, stepping into a future that neither could have imagined, yet both were ready to face, side by side.